What's up, guys? If you're new here, my name is Dom. We are in my kitchen because today I need to build another shelf on this wall behind me. If you watched my last video where I made homemade eggnog as well as that angel food cake, then you would have seen like a glimpse of that I finally built my shelf on this wall. At the moment, my son is cutting the boards down to length that I need. I bought them at 6 foot. They were pine boards and I bought them 6 feet long because that's how long this wall was. But I ended up putting in this shelving first, and so now I need to cut about 10 inches off of the board because they're going to bump up against each other, if that makes sense. I'll turn you around and show you. But so they are 4 boards. They're going to be identical in spacing to the ones that are already here. I am building this finally and I'm so excited. I had been waiting a while because I had to paint my walls. Finally got this wall painted and now I get to put them up. In about a month, it is going to be time to start pepper seeds. January 15th, to be exact, would be 10 weeks from my last frost date. So that is probably around the time that I want to start pepper seeds. And I was using my racks for pantry as well as canning goods. And so I already have one rack inside of the hoop house that we built, but I want to get another rack free, and that stuff will be on this shelf right here because my pantry closet is super tiny. It fits nothing in it basically. So to build these, I already have the poles separated and I needed 3 to separate to go onto this wall, and one's going to be at the corner bumped up against this one at the edge, and one in the middle. And the spacing is going to be exactly like this side, so I have 18-inch piping, 18-inch piping, 18-inch piping, and then 2 12-inch piping. I am going to have to remove this hanging basket because it will be in the way. Nehemiah was very helpful as I held the piping against the wall. She was able to screw in the bottom to shelving or piping. My son was in the kitchen getting his breakfast because while he was cutting the boards, I did make him some scrambled eggs, and so he's in the kitchen getting that. When we first moved in here, I had upper cabinets all throughout the kitchen as well as in the laundry room, and I knew I didn't want them. I knew that I always wanted this type of shelving, but so when we first moved in, I immediately took down the shelving. I wasn't expecting to go a whole year without upper shelving, but that's just how it worked out because I got busy building the outside garden. But now that the garden is basically all put in, I can focus back on inside things, like getting this shelving put up, and so that this coming spring and summer, when it's harvest time and preserving time, I will have these shelves already in. At the moment, I have lots of my pans and kitchen appliances inside of the garage, as well as decorations and stuff. I don't really have things hung up, but little by little, as I'm working on getting the house in order as far as the decorations that I want, I am going to be bringing in our containers so that I can decorate the house. I did have to measure from side to side so that I could put that pole in the exact middle, and it was already in the middle. I just eyeballed it and it was perfectly in the middle, so we just decided to screw it in. I'm not sure if I would have actually needed a middle pipe, but I decided to go ahead and put one because this was 5 feet long and I didn't want it to bow in the middle without having a pole in the middle. It's the same way that I did the one in the laundry room. The laundry room was about 6 feet from side to side, and I did put a pipe in the middle. And so I wanted to definitely make sure that this was secure, especially because I was going to have canned goods on here. And so I wanted to make sure that it was not going to break, and it was going to be sturdy enough to hold all of the weight of the products that was going to be on the shelf. So I did go ahead and put in this middle piping, but I'm not sure if I actually need it or not. But I know that it looks good, so that's what is important. Okay, we have all 3 pipes in, and now we are going to get the boards and slide them in. here to lift this.
Stuck right here. This must be one of the.
Okay, so we finished this shelf, and what I think I'm going to do is take, these are all of my baking things. So we have sugar, flour, salt, dry milk, stuff like that. And I could not fit all of my baking items up here, so I have my baking soda down on the second shelf because this one, this wall right here, or this board is only 4 foot long. And so I think by moving it to this shelf right here, it will let all of my baking items be able to fit on this longer shelf right here, and I won't have to have one random baking soda sitting down on this shelf. Right now I have all of my freeze-dried items here, and I think letting this stay freeze-dried shelf, maybe even moving it to this side to make it longer, because I'm going to continue freeze-drying things. But right now I'm going to work on moving things over, and then we'll go ahead and get stuff out of the glass room. This just made my heart so happy to finally have the shelving up and then to be moving stuff on it. This is exactly what I wanted since the day I moved into this house, and to finally have it installed is just wonderful. As I was organizing, I did have my girls go ahead and bringing in my canned items from the glass room. So I have canned beef, chicken, I have the peach jam, the peach jalapeno jam, which is not spicy at all. I have the peach barbecue, I have canned chicken broth, and then I also had potatoes that I canned, as well as beans for making quick chilies and stuff like that. I've already used everything besides the potatoes. I haven't used potatoes yet. My husband said that he is tired out of potatoes because when we were getting potato harvest in, we had mashed potatoes and potatoes lots of nights. So we're taking a pause on potatoes, but we have tasted everything else. The beef we use for making spaghetti, chili, anything. You can make sloppy joes. I haven't made sloppy joes with it, but you could also do that. And chicken, I've just used it for Thai peanut butter noodles, as well as making chicken salad. Eventually this microwave will be sitting above our stove, but for now I am just moving it to the other side of the kitchen and replacing it with my espresso machine. I've always wanted to have my coffee station on this side of the kitchen, and so I am removing that kitchen island that we have existing there, and I'm going to replace it with this smaller one and set up my coffee station over here. I like the smaller one over here much better, especially because it has the shelving and I can keep my water bath canner as well as my pressure canner underneath it. And then in those baskets I have extra kitchen towels and dishcloths in it, so I think it looks really pretty over there, and it's much smaller. It takes up less space. But for now, this is what we've got done so far. I'm super excited about it. I think it looks really good. I've even thought about putting one of these poles above this coffee station and maybe having our coffee mugs hanging. I'm not sure if that will happen, but I think it is a cute idea. I did go ahead, I actually still need to go ahead and put some 5-gallon buckets down here. I think I could fit 2 probably on each side. This is just leftover things right now. I have all-purpose flour, I have macaroni noodles, and some rice. Inside of my glass room that has extra spaghetti noodles, I have whole wheat flour, bread flour, sugar, and then maybe 2 or 3 containers of dried beans. They won't all fit underneath here, but I will bring some of them over here, probably the sugar, the bread flour, and maybe the whole wheat flour. Then this island I am going to bring into the glass room and replace it with this table that I have my freeze dryer sitting on, so that way when I move this shelf right here because this shelf has some more gardening things that is going to go inside of the hoop house. This right here is the oil pump for the freeze dryer, and I need it to be able to sit on the same table as this, and right now it doesn't have enough space. But that is something that my husband and son will have to do. This freeze dryer is really heavy. I think it weighs 160 pounds if I'm not mistaken, and so I'm not going to be able to do that by myself. But when my husband gets home, him and my son will be able to switch out the containers or the tables to be able to sit the freeze dryer on the island that we just took out of the kitchen. Then the only thing that will be left over here are these 5-gallon buckets that have food in them, and I will be able to move them across to this side. Right now I have all of my empty canning jars here. It's a mess that I have to reorganize it now that we took out my canned jars that had food in them. I need to rework this area right here. This shelf also has all of my dried herbs and things that I need to make tinctures and salves and all of that. And so I will have to get this all organized and situated, but not today. That would be separate. I completely forgot that I was storing my juicer out here. So I'm going to bring this into the kitchen and see if I can find a spot for it in the kitchen. I actually haven't juiced in many months. My juice has obviously been stored out here, but I look forward to having the summer garden full of fresh produce and be able to start juicing from my own produce that I produce this summer. So I just found this container inside of my glass room, and I got this from the thrift store a long time ago. It is just held on by these strings, so the lid is broken, but I think that putting it underneath here and filling it with the rest of my maybe canning lids and rings. Right now I have all of my extra canning materials in here. This has canning lids, rings, the funnel, as well as the clampers to grab the jars out, and all types of canning things. And then this other one, I have my food saver in there, as well as those white things hanging out are the liners for this dehydrator. So I'm not exactly sure what I can put in there. I do have sweet potatoes as well as potatoes inside of the glass room. Maybe I can put them in there. But when I checked inside of my extra containers, I only actually have 2 more containers that I would be willing to bring in here, which is the sugar and the bread flour. So we are in my garage, and as you can see, I have 3 boxes worth of things used for canning. I have extra jars that I picked up from thrift stores. I have extra lids and rings, as well as some extra lids and rings over here. In this box, I have things to make jam and jelly. This fruit pectin. This is just a brooder light. I have some of my old kombucha jars that I was using to store kombucha in, but I don't need them anymore, so we'll recycle those. One of the things that I did while I was waiting to move on to this homestead was anytime I went inside the thrift store or Goodwill, I would check if they had any canning jars, and if they did, I would stock up on them and just bring them home and put them in our storage while we were still living in the RV. I also was able to pick up that water bath canner for $7.99. The price is actually still on it from the thrift store. So definitely check out your thrift stores and your Goodwills and see if they have any water bath canners or any of your canning jars. I've just been unraveling what I bought from the thrift store a long time ago, and they're actually just colorful mugs, coffee cups, and I'm not ready for these at the moment because I don't have my top shelves. Actually, this one broke, so that's unfortunate, but I did have all of these in it, and I'm just going to keep them wrapped and put them back in the garage. Let's see, what color is this? A blue one. So I do remember buying these, but what I am keeping these are for fermenting. So they're fermenting weights that you put on your ferments to keep them below the salt water. This is interesting that I found. I forgot I ordered these. So these are dissolvable labels that I can use to put on my canning goods. Once I start canning a bunch of things that look different, like tomato products, I can use this to put what is on it, and then it rinses off. So this is good to have. Right now I just put in all of my extra canning things that were in the glass room into here, and then in here I am putting all of my pectins as well as my oxygen absorbers, and I think this is to sealed jars. I don't remember what this is called, but I'm putting all of the extra things inside of here. That's exactly where I'm going to put these labels. I'm gonna put them in here as well. So we'll do one final glance over because I am finished in the kitchen. So in this container, I ended up putting the things I showed you, as well as my Marlar bags for the freeze dryer. I did bring in the sugar as well as the bread flour. I put my canning container back up there, so that's done. And this is what we ended up with. I am beyond excited with how everything turned out. I think it looks beautiful. I am ecstatic about it. I have that shelf inside of my glass room completely free of kitchen things, and so now it only has the garden things that need to go into the hoop house, as well as that whole wire rack will be going into the greenhouse, because like I said, soon it will be time to start seeds, and I'll probably use both of those racks to start seeds, and if not, I'll use one as storage for all of my extra containers and seed starting equipment, and then the other one for starting seeds on. Just for reference, some of these jars are plastic and then some of them are glass, and so I did try to put the plastic jars at the end, so that if anything decided to fall off, it would be the plastic jars. And then I did try to push the jars all the way close to the wall so that they weren't super close to the edge and wouldn't fall off. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today as we got this done, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.